I have a theory, and I'm going to need your help to prove it during this talk. My theory is that fun kills fear. That if you're having fun, you can't be afraid. Now, I know we want to go straight to the fun, but we have to deal with the fear first. I want everybody here to think of fear and break it into two types. Type 1 fear, type 2 fear. Type 1 fear is the fear that saves your life. Type 2 fear is the fear that limits your life. Let's deal with fear number 1 first. This is the feeling you would have if you were walking in a forest or a jungle and you saw a huge wild animal like a bear or a tiger. You would see that animal and you would freeze in fear. The hair on the back of your neck would stand on end. Your senses would be heightened. You would be able to run faster, jump higher. Yes, this fear gives you superpowers. It could save your life. Let's leave this fear alone. Look at the other fear. The fear that limits your life. This is the fear of failure, fear of humiliation, fear of looking like a fool in front of other people. This fear can limit your life. It's how you feel while you're having a job interview, or if you see someone across a crowded room at a party and you think they might be interesting to talk to, but you haven't got the nerve to go and introduce yourself. It's the fear you feel right before you give a TED Talk. This fear can get you to not do what you want to do, and fun can kill this fear, and it's what I'm here to talk about. I'm an improv comic. I do improv comedy for a living, which means I create spontaneous scenes off the top of my head in front of an audience with my team and my partner. These scenes, they literally are completely made up. We have no clue what we're going to do before we do it. And the audience expects these scenes to be funny. And the question I get all the time after shows is, hey, Greg, do you still get nervous? Are you still scared that you'll be up there, middle of a show, everything's going great, and you'll just freeze and not know what to say? And I try to be honest when they ask me that question, and I say, hell yes, I'm afraid all the time. I'm afraid before shows, during shows. I'm afraid right now that I will fail, be humiliated, and look like a fool in front of other people. It doesn't go away. There's a myth. The people that do things aren't afraid of doing them. Well, I'm here to debunk that myth. I'm a guy that does improv 3 nights a week, every week of my life. And I still have to breathe deep and swallow hard before I get out there. The fear, it doesn't go away. So I've spent over 20 years of my life doing this thing that I truly love to do. And I truly love to improvise. It brings me so much joy, but I'm afraid to do it. And so I've learned 3 wonderful lessons about fear by doing improv. And I want to share those with you now. The first lesson I've learned about fear by doing improv is that it's okay to be afraid. Yeah, it'd be wonderful if we got that, right? So it's what I tell my students in the first day of class. I teach adults how to improvise, and they're sitting in the front row typically, and they are the most afraid people I know. They're sitting there quaking in their boots because they know they're going to have to do some improv in a second. And so I look at them and I say, hey, we're about to do some improv, and you might be scared, and that's okay. Because improv is really risky, and we fail at doing it about half the time. And being afraid of risky stuff is sane and normal. So you can forgive yourself your fear. That's not what we get, is it? No. When we express fear, take it from a lifelong fear expressor right here. When you express fear in our culture, you get pushback. You get negative reinforcement. You get these 2 classic responses to fear. Over the past couple of months, I've been expressing my fear about this speech, and I get these 2 knee-jerk reactions. People don't even think when they say it. They just go, if I say, hey, I'm afraid that I'm going to do this speech in a couple of weeks, they just say, Greg, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Stop it. Don't be afraid. And then they move on to the justification, because there's nothing to be afraid of. Yeah, there is. Okay. So I want to use you guys as an example and show you how it feels to get that reaction to fear. So I want everybody here to think of something that you are actually afraid of in your real life. Not a theoretical, like I'd be scared in this situation, or something you used to be afraid of. Just go ahead and think of something you're afraid of. Maybe you're afraid your kids aren't going to get into college, or maybe you're a small business person and you're going to take a risk in the next year of your life and you're afraid it's not going to work out. Or perhaps you have a health concern and you're worried about how that's going to play out and you're scared about that. Okay, wow, the room changed. Sorry about that. I know it's okay to be afraid, but it doesn't feel good, right? So now you're kind of connecting your fear. So go ahead and get into that place for a second. Now let me give you those two classic responses to fear. That thing that you're afraid of right now, don't be afraid. Stop it. Stop feeling that feeling right now that you're feeling. Stop feeling that fear right now. Because your kid getting into college, that medical concern, there's nothing to be afraid of. Now, do those two responses make you feel any less afraid? No, they don't work. Those responses to fear don't work. What works is forgiving ourselves our fear, accepting it, being okay with being afraid. Next lesson I learned about fear by doing improv is that my fear doesn't give me a pass. I don't get to just tap out and say, I'm not going to do it just because I'm afraid. No. I have to summon my courage and face my fear. Now, I use the words face my fear very specifically. I don't say conquer my fear. I don't say overcome it because I don't think I can do that. I just have to face it. I wish I had a Hollywood story to tell you where I was backstage before a show one time and I had that panic and I was scared and I didn't want to go on stage and I was looking at the mirror trying to psych myself up, and the fear demon appeared behind me. And I turned around and I confronted it like a bully in the schoolyard and it popped like a soap bubble and then I never had to confront my fear ever again. But I can't tell you that story because that story is bullshit. It's a fantasy, it's a movie. The truth is, I face my fear every time I perform, every time I public speak. But that's okay, because I have courage. I have the courage to face my fear. Now, why do I have courage? Because I didn't used to, but I do now. Improvisation is what gives me my courage, because improv is founded on support and encouragement. I trust my team, my partners, to support me and encourage me. Even if I fail, that's the important part. They don't just support me when I succeed. They support me when I fail too. So it's the trust that they're going to be there for me that gives me the courage to face my fear. So I say, find your improv community that can support you and encourage you. The last thing I learned about fear that I want to share today is that once you start to face your fear and then do the thing you want to do anyway, you start to have fun. You start to feel connected to other people, and that shatters the isolation of fear. And in that connection, you feel accepted and affirmed, and that feels good. And then you start to contribute your creativity, and that's awesome. And so in the collaboration and in the creativity and in the connection, you start to have this fun, and the fun is intoxicating, and it preoccupies you. And guess where your focus is now? Your focus is on the fun. It's not on the fear anymore. You're feeding your fun. You feed your fun, the fun will thrive. You starve your fear will die. Now, this is the important part. It isn't my confrontation with the fear that killed it. It wasn't my struggle or calling my fear bad names or telling myself there was nothing to be afraid of. That had no effect on my fear. What had an effect on my fear is when I focused on the fun, on the positive, on the connection, on the creativity, and I starved my fear. My fear died from neglect. But I didn't just come here to tell you this. No. I came here to prove it to you. And so, I need one person who's willing to volunteer themselves before everyone gets up. I want to give you the criteria if you're willing to be my volunteer. Very brave soul. The criteria is I want you to be afraid to get up here. Do you fit that category? Kind of? Are you a little bit more afraid now than you were a second ago? Then you win. So get on up here and give them a round of applause if you don't mind. Keep it going or it gets weird, y'all. Come on. Right this way. All right, let's meet our audience volunteer. If you'll stand right here. Your name is what?
Tanya.
Hi, Tanya. And you're afraid to be on stage right now?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Now I believe her. Yeah, now I do. So what I want to do is I want to prove my theory. My theory is that now she's one, she's admitted to being afraid, and two, she's faced her fear by getting up here. So a big round of applause right now, if you will. I want to share with you, she just said, it's a little scarier now. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, it gets scarier the more you stay up here. Okay, so here's the deal. So my theory is that if I give her some fun, if she starts having some fun, this fear will go away, right? So I want to play a little, I actually want to know, what about being on stage frightens you? What's frightening about this moment right now?
All of them.
Yeah, all of them. Well, hey, wow, it's your fault, guys. You guys are the one that did it. So if you'll just stand right over here, if you would, please. Now, here's the deal. We're just going to play a quick improv game where this game is called Loser Ball, and I think this game proves my point, okay? So what happens is, what we do is we fear failure like crazy. So I'm going to flip the dynamic on failure here. So I'm going to make failure the goal. This game is called Loser Ball, like I said, and it was given to me by Jill Bernard, and she said I could use this game to prove a point. Here's the deal. There are two rules of Loser Ball. I'm going to throw this ball towards you, and you have to try to catch it, but fail at catching it, okay? Don't quit, you're getting away. Okay, come on over here. Yeah, over here. So you have to try to catch it, but fail, okay? And now the other rule is that we are wildly supportive of her before, during, and after her failure to catch it. Can you guys do that? Yeah. Tell me your name again. Tanya. All right, I think we got to get a Tanya chant going on here. Here we go. Everyone go, Tanya, 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 Tanya. Oh, there it is. There it is. Yes. Oh yeah. Okay. I think she can do it again, guys. Think she can? What's going on? What's wrong with you? You guys are not supportive. Everyone's like, meh. Come on. She's up here facing her fear. Come on. Get on your feet, everybody. Let's do this. Get on your feet. Come on. Now this time, come on. You can do it. All right, here we go. There it is. Awesome job. Give it up for Tanya. Now, Tanya, real quick, Tanya. Hold on, guys. Tanya, are you afraid right now?
No.
There it is, folks. Thank you very much, Tanya. I told you I was going to prove it. So we gave her some fun, and we took away her fear. So what do I want to do? Do I want everybody here to become improvisers and bring this little ball to work and throw it and not catch it? No. What's the takeaway? The takeaway is when we see fear in our life, when we experience it, instead of feeding the fear with all the anger and the toxic ideas and the negativity and the pushback, that we allow it to happen, we breathe into it, and we start to feed our fun. But also when we see others in fear, instead of telling them that fear is inappropriate and ungrounded, allow them to be afraid and try to give them some fun. Bring a little ball, get them to miss it, and see if their fun can go away. So feed your fun will thrive. Starve your fear will die. Thank you.